Good evening, everyone. We are happy to embark on this transformative journey with you. At Skillveda, we are passionate about empowering educational leaders like you to drive excellence, innovation, and growth in your institution. Skillveda acts as a bridge between traditional teaching and the future-ready requirements of NEP 2020, providing schools with expert-led workshops and innovative resources that drive academic excellence. We have reached the final session of Skillveda Leadership Series 2026, and what a journey it has been. Skillveda was founded with the simple belief: when educators and leaders grow, entire communities grow. As a platform dedicated to building 21st century skills, leadership capacity, and a culture of continuous learning, we bring together expert, practitioners, and change makers to share strategies that work in real classrooms and boardrooms. We began this leadership journey on 11th April 2026 with visionary school leadership. And session after session, we have explored ideas that redefine what it means to lead with empathy, innovation, and impact. Now, our final session will distill the series into actionable wisdom, the lessons to carry forward, the shifts to make, and the legacy we choose to build. In today's session on self-directed leadership, we will explore concept and significance of self-directed leadership, the role of principals as self-leaders in dynamic environment, featuring Dr. Rachna Bansal as our speaker for session 3, with more than 20 years of experience as a professor and dean of the institution. She is a transformational leader and inspirational educator. She will share her insights on mastering the inner leader. Welcome, Dr. Rachna.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Twinkle-ji, for a warm introduction. Good evening, everyone. First thing first, please confirm if I'm audible and if you can
Yes,
see
yes,
me.
you are. You are
Yeah,
audible. Yes,
you can
please.
see me on the screen as well.
Yes, yes.
Great. All right. So we are hoping some more people to join with us.
Yes, but we can start now. They will join in between.
All right. No problem. Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you so much. Can I request for a camera appearance from participants? It feels
If we can
more.
switch on the cameras, please.
Yeah, we
Ankit ji,
can.
Bhuvana ji, and everybody. Preeti ji, Samira ji, Shilpi ji, please switch on your cameras if possible.
I think I need to change the layout of my screen because I'm not able to see the participants here.
Okay.
That's okay. Just for a quick start, can we know what kind of participants we have? Can we have a quick introduction since we don't have a lot of number? We can, I think we can do it. This is
Yeah,
manageable.
please go ahead. Yeah, we
Within,
can. Yeah, please go
within a
ahead.
minute.
I would like to, Bhuvana ji, can we start with you now? I think all are somewhere. Bhuvana ji, she is the principal of our school. And Silva Rani ji, can we have an introduction from you?
Yes, ma'am. Hi,
Yeah.
this is Selvarani. I'm a coordinator of 9th and 10th of a CBSE school for more than 5 years. So I'm interested to enhance my leadership quality so that I can move on to the next level with more confidence. So the two classes were very supportive for me. And today is the final class, so I've joined it, ma'am.
That's wonderful. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Selvarani ji. I'll try my best to deliver up to your expectations.
Preeti ji, can we go ahead with you? Preeti ji is also the principal in Pune school.
Wonderful.
I think either she is traveling or Preeti ji, am I audible to you? No problem. Samira ji, can we start with you? Yeah, Samira ji, please.
Good evening. I'm Samira. I'm currently the vice principal of a school based in Kochi. I've been in the leadership role, different leadership roles since 2018. But I always feel that as leaders, things change and we have to keep learning new things every day. So I think that's the reason why I'm here today.
That's great, Samira
Absolutely.
ji. That's great. Ankit
Thank
ji,
you.
can we have a small introduction from your side? Shilpi ji?
Hello.
Yeah, Preeti ji, now you can say. Yeah, please.
Yeah, this is Preeti Dabde, Principal of PDA's English Medium Secondary School and Junior College, Akurdi, Pune.
Hi,
Yes.
Preeti ji, welcome.
And I would like to say that the series which is conducted for leadership, that was awesome, and it gave us inputs to work further. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Preeti ji. Thank you.
Great.
Shilpi ji, you want to say something? Priyada ji, you want to say something if I pronounce your name rightly? Yes, Shilpi ji.
Yes, ma'am. And I am so sorry for the connectivity issue.
No
And
problem.
a very warm welcome to Dr. Rachna, ma'am, and great applaud to Skillveda that they have been organizing such great webinars with such, with such great people, and we are really looking forward for this leadership program. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you,
Great.
Shilpi ji. Thank you. So nice of you. Rachna ji, can we start with the prayer? Then,
Yes.
yeah, we can take introduction after.
Yes. I understand that it's a weekend. Most of the people are either on travel or they are occupied in some activities. Let's
Yeah.
go ahead. I just wanted to have an idea the kind
Yes,
of
yes, I do understand. Yes.
participants we have in the workshop. So what I have understood so far is we almost have the senior teachers or the people who are already in leadership profiles in the school. And that is how this entire session becomes more relevant for the kind of participants we have. Self-directed leadership. Let me introduce myself, although Twinkle ma'am has already done it. I'm Dr. Rachna. I'm a faculty of management. So we teach students of management, MBA students, the concepts of leadership. So I take one course on leadership. So this is how we end up delivering multiple aspects or dimensions of leadership to the students. At present, I'm associated with Sharda University with School of Management. I'm an associate professor and also an associate dean. So what I see is we almost are at the same level. We all are at the same kind of profile at present. The only difference is we are into the domain of delivering literature on leadership, and you are the one who are at the part of executing those aspects of leadership. So let's go ahead and let us start the session. Since you have already attended a few sessions on leadership, we have a series or a line of sessions on leadership that Skillveda is launched. I am sure that you have a fair idea of how do we see leadership. By and large, what leadership has seen so far is something which is influencing others, directing others, or motivating others. But the kind of people we are, the kind of profiles we are into, we are not into that kind of segment where we need someone else to direct us or we need someone else to motivate us. And hence, this concept of self directed leadership becomes of immense importance for all of us. Let's try and understand what this concept is, how it is different than self management, or how it is different than self regulation. Let's understand this. I'll try to use a lot of examples, relevant examples in context of schools, though I do not have a lot of exposure of school administration, but I am a parent, my kids go to school, so I understand the kind of challenges school leadership also faces. Let's talk about one example here. We all have teachers in the school, we have faculty in the institution that I work with. There is a faculty named as Dr. Meera. She is a mid-career faculty member. She receives an email from the dean late in the evening, and she's expected to launch a new interdisciplinary elective. Elective is a module, a subject, within 2 weeks. That's the task she is supposed to perform. She's expected to perform this task by the dean. And there is no detailed guideline, no additional resources, no reduction in her existing workload. A very similar scenario we all come across in our day-to-day life. Now, what Meera can do, what kind of possibilities, what kind of options she has. What do you think she will do? What do you think she should do? Typically, if I would have been at the place of Meera, or you would have been at the place of Meera, our purpose would be, how do we deliver the task within the given deadline? That is the primary focus for each one of us. But that is a very typical traditional way of looking at a problem or looking at a task. So we are talking about the self-management, task-focused orientation of Meera. If she is just trying to complete the task efficiently, if that's her focus, what she'll do, she'll check the deadline, she'll check all it takes to deliver, she'll do some research, she'll come out with some outline, send the mail to the dean, and will take a sigh of relief that yes, it is done within the timeline. That is a typical approach we all do whenever it comes to completion of the task. But self-directed leadership proposes a different perspective to this. As you can see on the screen, it is more about cognitive and motivational regulation. That is one component. Second component is it has to be value-driven and it has to be purpose-oriented. So before Meera starts to jump on completion of the task, better she takes a pause and try to ask the question, what exactly am I supposed to do? Why there is a change? Why a new outline is needed? How exactly I can bring some change or some better thing into the system? So when she starts asking these questions from herself, her focus shifts from completing the task to aligning her belief system, aligning her purpose, and she tries to answer what kind of impact can I create with this task. The task is simple. The task is a routine task. We all are engaged in similar tasks. So rather than simply completing the deadlines given, question comes, what exactly is expected? What kind of impact I want to create, or what kind of impact management wants to create with the given task? So the perspective completely changes here. And then she starts working from the scratch and she starts thinking what exactly students need from this outline, what exactly students need from this module. And she redesigns the entire course outline, and she tries to introduce a lot of innovative ways into the outline. She includes a lot of guest sessions into outline, industry exposures in the outline, which nobody has asked her to do. But she understands that the real purpose of education, or at least she believes personally, that's her personal belief, that the real purpose of education is to prepare the student for the real world. So typically taking a textbook, copying the content from the textbook is the easier version of the task, but aligning it with the purpose is the another approach. And that is how the difference is created through self-directed leadership. She is trying to direct herself for a simple task that is given to her. She is trying to align it with the belief that she has. She is trying to align it with the larger purpose of the society. Similar thing we end up doing on day-to-day basis. So when we talk about self-directed leadership, we are not thinking of leadership as an influence over others. Typically, this has been established so far. There are more than a dozen of theories, dozen of models. They all have talked about leadership as a mean of influencing others. We have great men theory, we have trait theory, behavioral theory, situational theory. All these theories are talking about how do we influence others, how do we drive others, how do we motivate others. But there in SDL, we see it as a progression. At the level one, the focus is not only doing the work well, the focus is shifted to managing the self effectively and ultimately consciously directing one's work and choices towards meaningful impact. So the keywords that I want to highlight here is, when it comes to STL, we are guiding our own growth, we are guiding our own decisions and actions. We're not relying heavily on external directions, on external motives, and we are emphasizing personal responsibility and intrinsic motivation. That is another very important element in STL. We are not talking about extrinsic motivation, some kind of pay, reward, incentive. They are not driving us. What is driving us is intrinsic motivation. That might be my belief, that might be my value system, that might be a larger impact that I want to create in the society. It's different for different people. So the individual here is inspired by personal beliefs, personal convictions, and a purpose, and she or he develops and carries out the plan to improve his or her leadership skills or the personal competencies. These plans, these actions, these beliefs, all of them is of an individual's. It's not something which is externally driven. It's not something which is told to you. It's not something which your boss is asking you to do or your HR department is asking you to. Everything comes within. So with that, we established the basic understanding of SDL, how we can see SDL, self-directed leadership. So it's not about two people. Generally, leadership has been taught always about two people. One who make the influence and the other who is the target of the influence. But in this SDL, it's only one person. It's you, your inner self, how you are guiding your inner self, how you're guiding your actions according to your beliefs, your purpose, your values. That is how we see self-directed leadership. Now, before I jump to some practical aspects or how actually it is to be practiced in our day-to-day life, it's important we understand slightly the fundamentals that are given in the literature, the theoretical aspects of the self-directional leadership. So there are two main contributions in that. The first one is given by Albert Bandura, the concept of self-efficacy. And the theory, self-leadership itself, is given by Charles Mans. We all have been teaching our students have self-confidence. Self-confidence is important. A very similar term to self-confidence is proposed by Albert Bandura, self-efficacy. How do we define self-efficacy? It's about a person's belief, it's about a person's confidence in their own ability to succeed for a particular task or for a given situation. Now, you might be confused then how it is different than self-confidence. The difference between self-confidence and self-efficacy is self-confidence is general in nature. I am self-confident. I'm not saying I'm self-confident for a particular task. I'm not saying self-confidence in a given situation. But when it comes to self-efficacy, that is very task specific. That is very situation specific. So you might say that I have self-efficacy when it comes to leadership. I have high self-efficacy when it comes to administration. So fundamentally, how do we see it? An individual's belief in his or her capabilities in order to perform a task. This particular theory is proposed by Albert Bandura. I'll let you know why are we talking about self-efficacy in context of SDL. It has a very strong link with SDL. The theory itself, self-leadership theory, is proposed by Charles Mans. He proposed a model. He proposed a framework of self-leadership, that how we can utilize this entire thing. He gave us practical tips. How do we engage into self-leadership? So that I'll be talking about. Let's understand what all have contributed in the evolution of this self-leadership theory. Self-efficacy I have already talked about. I've explained you what self-efficacy is. Now let's understand why I'm talking about self-efficacy in SDL. An individual can never be a self-directed leadership unless he or she has a high level of self-efficacy. That means I must have that belief that I have the power to shape my behavior, I have the power to shape my motivation, and I have the capacity, or I am resilient enough to handle the difficult situation. To simplify, in one sentence, I can say, I can lead myself. That is how self-efficacy works in context of SDL. So if you say, I can lead myself, you are a leader with high self-efficacy, and you will be proactively engaged in your own cognition, in your own beliefs, in your motivation, in your day-to-day actions. And that is how concept of self-efficacy is directly contributing in the concept of SDL. Now, another important term that we need to understand here is personal agency. Traditionally, we have seen that leadership is a concept which is influencing others, or somebody else will influence me, or I will influence somebody else. But the concept of personal agency says that the belief and capacity to intentionally influence the direction of your own life and performance. That means, let me put it simply, it says we are not puppets. We are not puppets of the situations. We are not puppets of the somebody else directions or guidance. I have cognition. I am intelligent enough, which can understand the situation, which can develop the traits which are needed to control the situation. And that is how I am the someone who is in charge of my life. And that is how the personal agency works. So unless you don't have that personal agency belief, again, SDL is not for you. Now, third very important proposal given by Albert Bandura in this segment is social cognition theory, or also popularly known as reciprocal determinism. This theory proposes that there are three main elements in an individual's life. Interplay of these three elements decides what we do, how we do. Let's have a look at this image. This is an example. This is an visual example or visual illustration of reciprocal determination or social cognitive theory. These three elements are personal factors, the behavior, and the environment. And the theory proposes, look at the arrows, the directions these arrows have. The directions are saying that each element has the capacity to influence the other element. And if you bring a change in one element, we understand X and Y, dependent and independent variable. So in this interplay of these three factors, sometimes one factor becomes a cause and the other factor becomes a effect. So if I want to change the environment, I'll have to change the personal factors. Sometimes if I have to change personal factors, I'll have to change the environment, and vice versa. This interplay keeps on happening among these three factors. Let us understand with an example here. Anita is a senior teacher at a school, and she believes that she is not capable of leading school initiatives, or she is not good at influencing the policy decisions at the school. Now, this is her self-efficacy. This is a personal factor. Her belief is that she has low self-efficacy in leadership and strategic influence. The first element. The second element is the kind of environment she is operating in. The environment in the school is primarily recognizing the compliance, syllabus completion, exam results, rather than innovation or strategic contribution. So school is not recognizing or appreciating what kind of strategic decisions you are taking. The school is only appreciating the routine task that as a teacher you are expected to perform. So the environment is performance culture, which is largely focused only on routine execution of the task. That is the second element in the theory. The third element here is, because of these two elements, one, she already has a low self-efficacy in leadership. Second, the environment is also such which is not promoting or which is not helping her out to overcome her low self-efficacy. So as a result, what Anita is doing, she is limiting herself to classroom teaching. She is avoiding staff meetings. She is not raising her concerns. She is not coming up with suggestions. Basically, she is not volunteering for any kind of leadership roles or the committees. So the behavior is withdraw from the leadership opportunities or strategic engagement. Now, if I'm someone who does not know what SDL is, what personal agency is, how this interplay works, this will become a vicious cycle. Neither I'm going to change, personal factor will not change, environment is also the same, and my behavior will also remain the same. And this becomes a cycle which is not changing anything. Now, if you want to change this cycle, you have to change at least one element. Now, what is in your hand if you need to change this cycle? In our hand, we always have the personal factor. So we start with changing that personal factor if we want to change this loop of personal factor, environment, and ultimately a behavior. So what Anita can do in this situation? She can change the personal factor. She can convert her low self-efficacy to a higher self-efficacy. But how will it happen? I already have a low self-efficacy. I do not have confidence that I can lead. I do not want to volunteer. What she can do is she can start by building her skill set. She can start challenging her belief by consciously building her leadership capacity. And how that she can be done? For example, the series that we are having. This leadership series can be one effort of anybody who wants to build his or her leadership capabilities. So similar thing Anita does. She enrolls herself into a short program on instructional leadership. She starts reading about school improvement and she starts reflecting about her own strengths beyond teaching. That what is she good at? And by these actions, by these things, she is now working on one element, which is the personal shift. Slowly, her low self efficacy starts converting into high self efficacy because of her participation over all these activities. Now, what happens next? Because her personal belief has changed, her behavior also starts changing. She changes her behavior by taking small, visible leadership actions, small initiatives, small volunteering for small things, talking in the staff meetings, contributing ideas, suggesting solutions to the problems for the school improvement. That is how her behavior is shifting. And because of that, she is getting recognition. She is being recognized by her colleagues, by her peers in the school that yes, she can be one who has a solution to the problem. So the colleague starts going to her, start taking her inputs, start taking her perspectives. Principal also understands her potential and starts involving her into decision making in planning, and eventually the entire cycle of personal belief, behavior, environment shifts. But why it happened, how it could happen, all this could happen because of the personal agency theory. Because Anita believed into that she is charge of her life. She is in charge of her behavior. She is in charge of her actions. And that is how a situation which seemed out of control is now completely in control of Anita. So that is the background of this self-leadership theory. We must understand self-efficacy is important. We must understand personal agency and we must understand the theory of interplay that works between personal beliefs, behavior, and environment. Once we have understood how this interplay works, then only we can start working on self-leadership. Right? Do we have any concerns so far? Because I'm going to shift the discussion to a different idea now.
Any questions, any suggestions?
It's really going well, ma'am. That's really nice.
Thank you.
You're taking it beautifully. Thank you.
No question, ma'am. It is well said. We are listening.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your attention. This is one problem which we have in online sessions. Since we don't see each other, I don't understand your non-verbal clues. So it's important to know, are we going ahead in the correct direction or we need a pause here? Okay, so what we have discussed so far, these were all contributions of Albert Bandura, talking about self-efficacy, talking about personal agency. Now the concept of self-leadership that is proposed by Charles Mintz. What Albert Bandura did, he established a fundamental thinking. He established a psychological framework for self-leadership theory. But the problem is, Albert Bandura did not give us any practical solutions. He did not give us any actionable things that we must practice in our day-to-day life, in our day-to-day challenges, in order to become a self-directed leader. Now that constraint, that limitation has been, it's been overcome by Charles Mintz. This is the self-leadership model proposed by Charles Mintz. The fundamental belief that works behind this model is before you can lead others, you must first learn to lead yourself. As you can see in this picture, in this visual, there are three main categories. These three are known as three main pillars of self-leadership proposed by Charles Mintz. The first pillar is behavioral strategies. So these strategies helps an individual manage and improve their own behavior, and specifically the task, the actions which sound to us a little challenging, which requires discipline, which are not very pleasant. So he proposed a few actionable things that we must practice, we must incorporate in our day-to-day behavior, so that the tasks, the actions which seems difficult to us, which requires discipline, we get them into our behavior. So that includes self-observation, self-goal setting, self-reward, self-correction, self-cue, and rehearse. When we practice these behavioral strategies, they will ensure that sustained self-direction is accomplished. Self-direction is easy. We start one action with great enthusiasm, but sustaining it is the difficult. I want to be fit. I'll take a new year resolution. I'll start going to gym. I'll start practicing yoga, whatever it is. But then we eventually leave it behind. It is not sustained throughout the year. And there comes the techniques given by 𝗬𝗏 Handy, that how do we sustain that self-direction. The second pillar given by him is natural rewards. He suggests that in order to keep yourself motivated, align everything, link everything with rewards. Each action, each task align with rewards, so that you always feel motivated. And the third pillar is, he fundamentally believed that leadership starts with your thoughts. So the way we think, it's actually a kind of leadership it is. In order to practice leadership, we have to start thinking it here. And that is why the third pillar is most important. Constructive thought patterns are very important. We have to continuously engage ourselves in our inner dialogues, in our inner thoughts positively, so that we are always aligned to our action. Let's talk in detail about these three strategies proposed by 𝗬𝗏. And yes, one more thing, look at the bottom of the image. The next thing in line is super leadership. Maybe in some other series of leadership, we can talk about it. Self-leadership is confined to leading yourself. The next level to it is leading others to become leaders. Typically, when we talk about leaders, we always think of followers. I am the leader, you are the follower, right? You are the leader, I am the follower. But super leadership talks about developing leadership in others. Rather than expecting them to be your follower, you are trying to make them a leader by themselves. That is next series. Let's talk about these three pillars in detail. Before I dive deep into these three pillars of 𝗬𝗏's theory, there is one situation which says the principal notices that administrative task in the school consumes most of her time, and because of which it leaves very little room for the instructional leadership. That means she is so engrossed into administrative tasks, actions, completing the formalities, documentation, paperwork, that the real purpose of school leadership is to improve the instruction, the quality of instruction, for which she is not getting any time. And she wants to become more visible as an instructional leader, not just as an administrator. So those who are already in the principal, vice principal positions, I'm sure they can relate with this situation. It happens with all of us. We are so consumed with administrative tasks that the real purpose that should be there is somewhere is left behind. So this is a task which is difficult for us to achieve. 𝗬𝗏 proposed solutions. He proposed solutions in terms of behavioral strategies, continuously doing and regulating actions towards that one objective that we have in our mind. It starts with self-observation, being aware of what you are doing. So you have to be very consciously, vigilantly, have to take care of or take note of where the time and energy actually is going. How it can be done? Maybe you maintain a small diary or a small write-up every day where you put slots for each task and you take note of how much time is spent into which activity. Once you do it for a week, you will understand the pattern, where most of my time is going. And out of these tasks, is there any task which I can strike off? Is there any such task which I might delegate so that it saves me, it allows me for more strategic outputs? Then second thing is self-goal setting. Here the goal is you want to become an instructional reader rather than the administrator. So setting your own clear and meaningful goal will help you. Third thing is self-cueing. This practice is quite common nowadays. In fact, everyone is doing and we all are somehow involved into it. Self-cueing means creating reminders for yourself in whatever way it is possible. So keeping it always in uh, present in front of your eyes so that you get continuously reminded of your objective. So maybe a sticky note, maybe a poster of your younger self in case fitness is your goal. In your case, if you want to become an instructional leader, then put an image of someone who you see as a role model, who are very good in terms of good instructional leadership. Creating small cues around yourself wherever you sit, wherever you go, so that you are always reminded what exactly is the purpose of your leadership. Next is self reward, giving yourself small recognition, small rewards whenever you achieve something good. Any progress that you have made possible in the school, any good change that you have made into the innovative teaching of the school, reward yourself for that. Self correction, when you are journaling everything on your day-to-day basis, you'll be able to identify your mistake also. So that is another important thing. When we work, we tend to make mistakes. Take note of your mistakes and see what can be done better next time, and then rehearsal. Rehearse it inside your brain, rehearse it in your actions on everyday basis. That is what we say, that before you start the next day, one day before, keep it in your mind, rehearse it in your mind for the next day. What am I exactly going to do the next day? What all actions I'm going to do? What is not a compromisable situation that has to be done? So these are some tips, some behavioral strategies proposed in self-directional leadership, which we can practice for the task which sounds very difficult to us. Now that is only one part. The second pillar of the theory is it talks about motivation. So, another situation. A senior teacher at the school feels really burdened by repetitive syllabus completion and exam preparation. Now, this typical scenario in every school, every university, we are always in this grill of prepare syllabus, conduct classes, schedule exams, correct copies, and over time it becomes so monotonous and burdening that we lose interest. So objective here is that teaching should become more energizing rather than routine, which can sustain the teacher's motivation. Now, second pillar comes handy here. If you want to depend on schools' pay, schools' incentive, schools' rewards, that will work for you for a very limited time. That motivation, that drive is not sustainable. So what Charles suggested, natural reward strategies. Do not wait for the school's incentive to happen. Do not wait for the school's race to happen. You give yourself a reward every day. What you can do is build rewards into the task. That means the task itself becomes a reward. Make the task so enjoyable, so engaging that the task itself becomes a reward. So, engaging classes, activities, more activities in the class so that it becomes interesting for the students also, for yourself also. You are in building the reward, the sense of pleasure, the sense of enjoyment in the task itself, which typically is boring for the teacher. Second is focus on what is meaningful. Do not look at the smaller version or the short term objective. Short term objective seems to be finish the class, finish the semester, finish the exam. But the larger purpose is you are actually preparing individuals for the society. You are creating good human beings. You are making a significant contribution in a student's life so that they are going to remember you, they are going to see you as a role model. So connect your work. Your work is not simply correcting a notebook. Your work is larger than that. Correcting notebook is only one aspect of it. You are basically contributing in a more larger, meaningful objective. Connect to the personal values. Now, this will keep you alive. That will keep you going. When you believe that my personal value is nurturing individuals, my personal value is nurturing growth in my students. I want my student to overcome a challenge. When you align your task with your personal values, then these tasks will not look like mundane to you. They will not look like boring to you. So these are the strategies proposed by him, that do not wait for external rewards, rather create natural reward strategies for yourself by building rewards into the task, focus on what is meaningful and connecting it to your personal values and to the larger purpose, so that you can see the bigger picture rather than see small task. This is the second pillar of the Charles model. Now, a vice president hesitates to lead a major school change. We want to bring changes that is needed in any system. But there, the vice principal is apprehensive, maybe a uh, little concerned how the change will be seen, whether the change will be accepted by the teachers or not. For example, she wants to implement experiential learning in the classroom, but she has a fear of resistance. We are the human beings. We need to maintain relations also. Interpersonal relations are important. So this fear is quite obvious for any individual, that I am trying to put people, I'm trying to pull them out of their comfort zone. How are they going to accept it? Will they support me? And most of the time, we expect that there will be resistance. Our objective is that the principal leads the initiative with confidence, gradually bringing the teachers on board on this decision. Here comes handy the third pillar of the Charles framework. You have to start thinking positively. We all have fear. Self doubt is the biggest enemy for all of us. So, Charles proposed, do not indulge yourself into self doubt. You replace your limiting beliefs, challenge your negative assumptions about yourself, manage self talk, get into inner dialogue with yourself positively. Use visualization. Use visualization means start visualizing, start feeling that yes, it has already happened. The change has been introduced. Faculty are accepting it positively. I see a lot of change in the school, into the students' performance, in the classrooms. Start visualizing. What we call now is manifestation. Practice optimism. That is there. That is the kind of food for all of us, for all individuals. We have to be optimistic in all the situations and focus on the opportunity rather than focusing on the problem. Start looking at the opportunity rather than the resistance. So, point is, you cannot become a leader if you have negative thought process. You cannot bring a change if you already doubting your own actions. Others will never be able to trust you. Others will never be able to go by you if you yourself is doubting. So this is how these three pillars of self-leadership theory comes handy to us when it comes to leading ourselves. Behavioral strategies, natural rewards, and constructive thought patterns. Why this theory is important to us? Why not any other theory? There are so many theories which are in the literature. This theory is important to us because the kind of profile we have, the kind of positions we have, now we do not expect someone else to guide us. We are mature enough, we are understanding enough, we are knowledgeable enough that we need to guide ourselves. More than that, the kind of nature work has now. You do not have always everyone in front of you. You do not expect always your boss to look at you, monitor your performance, micromanage your performance. And because of that remote culture, hybrid culture of the work now, we are shifting from presence based performance to self regulated productivity. Uh, this has yet to happen in the teaching schools and universities, but if you talk about the corporates, they already have had this shift. They do not believe into 9 to 5 hours of presence in the office. Most of the time, they don't even expect their employees to show physical presence. What they only bother about is the delivery, the task, the performance. Self-managed teams, we are reducing that hierarchical teams. Now employees are treated as the colleagues, and that is why we believe that the teams will take the ownership and they will deliver. We do not believe into reduced hierarchical we now believe into reduced hierarchical supervisions. We do not need external control, it should be internal governance. And because of these changes, these shifts that are happening at the workplace, SDL is now more important. And I would like to conclude this entire discussion by saying that the sustainable performance emerges when individuals act out of internal endorsement rather than external pressure. And leadership is no longer position driven, but it is internally anchored. And the schools need leaders who are proactive, reflective, and self driven. And I leave you with these two questions. After this session, you may think about it. When there is no supervision, nobody is asking you to do something, nobody is watching you to do, what actually drives your decision as a leader? And do you lead your circumstances or you are being led by your circumstances? You try and answer these questions and you will have much
Rachna ji,
idea.
we can get the answers right now also, not a problem, no?
Yes, of course, if we can engage in a discussion, that's
Yes,
not a
yeah,
problem.
please,
Be
yeah.
fine.
Any questions till now? Please go ahead if you have any questions or any query.
I
Yes.
missed the first two slides. Can it be repeated, please?
Okay, Rachna ji, first two, when we started the session, na, that first two.
Yes, Mr. Boss. In the first two slides, we only understood the definitional aspect of SDL. How do we define self-directional leadership? So we started with a scenario. The scenario was about how our day-to-day actions should be seen when it comes to SDL. This is a standard task which a faculty is supposed to do, preparing a module within a given deadline without extending much support by the management. Now, what approach the faculty takes in order to complete the task? If the approach is finishing the task within the deadline, this is a typical scenario, self-management. But when she uh, when she stops and start answering what exactly is the purpose of this task, what am I expected to deliver in this module, what kind of change can I bring with this module, with this elective, when she starts answering this question and align her task with the answer of these questions, then we call it self-directed leadership. So this is how we differentiate it, that self-management is different than self-directed leadership. In self-management, we are only concerned about time management and completion of tasks. But in self-directed leadership, we are trying to align the task with the purpose, with the larger purpose of the society, the value system of the individual. That is how we differentiate these two things. So I think you connected with us eventually.
Yes, yes. Mr. Prantik, this is fine now?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
My
Yes.
pleasure. We are open to discussion now. Let's share our experiences. Any such situation where we were stuck into and we guided ourselves and how well we overcome the situation, how well we overcome the challenge.
We
Please
can
share
go to the
personal-
last one, last slide where you have put some questions. Na? Two questions were there. Yeah.
Yes, yes. We can share our personal experiences.
Yes. Yes, this one. Who wants to share her experience? In the absence of constant supervision, what drives your decision as a leader?
Nobody is asking me to do something. Nobody is even observing me. Nobody is watching me. Then how do I perform my task? That exactly is self-directed leadership.
Yes, definitely.
Ma'am, may I? Shilpi,
Yeah, Shilpi ji, please go ahead.
Yeah.
Yes. Please,
So
ma'am.
I think so that mostly when it comes to the absence of constant supervision, I as a person is more productive, because when I get a bit nervous or I get under pressure, if someone is hovering on my head or I'm under the surveillance of someone, right? So I am more productive when no one is watching me. And regarding my decisions, that what kind of the circumstances or the things that is going to drive my decisions, I think it's always the very first thing that comes to my mind is that I try to decide on the base of win-win situation. Right? But as humans, as a life, it is not going to be every time the same. right? But yeah, I try to make it win-win, that I should also not be used as a doormat for sure, but then I should also not disregard the feelings or the perspective of the other person. And I am very open to question. So I try to ask that person that what is your perspective, which I am unable to understand right now. So if you can explain me that. So I think this is what is there for me. Yeah.
Shilpi ji,
Thank you.
basically you're already practicing some strategies which are proposed by Charles under the behavioral strategies, self-reflection, self-regulation. You're already in practice of these things. So you are
Yes, ma'am.
very,
Yes.
very much on the way to self-directed leadership already.
Thank you so much.
He is on the right track.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bhuvana ji, Prantik ji, who wants to come now? Preeti ji, Silvani ji, Samira ji, please go ahead.
Okay, I think in the absence of constant supervision, what drives your decisions as a leader or as a human being is whether you want to excel self-wise, whether you want to self-excel. If you have the drive to self-excel and go beyond the boundaries, then no amount of supervision can stop you. I think so.
Very true. Very true.
And sometimes there are certain things which we want to do in a different way. But because management expect us to do it in a particular way, we are bound to do it. But when there is no such restriction, we turn to be our best. We try to do the things in the best possible manner.
Ma'am, the management will always try to stop you if you have a boss who doesn't understand your vision, or if he understands less than you. But if he is in sync with your thoughts and processes, and if he is a leader and allows the team to excel beyond himself, then I think there will be no supervision.
See, SDL is not saying that your circumstances would change. Whatever constraints, whatever environmental challenges we have, they will always stay there. What best we can do within the given challenges, within the given environment, that is what SDL is talking about. How do you align your actions? How do you align your thought processes?
Yeah.
May I
Okay.
say something?
Please, Preeti ma'am.
Yeah. I just want to say one line only. A self-motivated person doesn't think of the supervision.
Yes, of course. There is one theory that we generally teach to students, theory X and theory Y, proposed by Douglas McGregor. And he says that there are two types of people, person X and person Y. Person X type of people are not the self-driven people. They would always need some kind of external carrot or stick method in order to get the things done. So either they would ask for external validation, reward, incentive, or punishment, or something externally. So that is the category of X type of people. Whereas Y type of people are the one who do not wait for the external supervision or external rewards or external validation. They are driven by themselves. So motivation is a very interesting field. You spend hours and hours into one activity and you find it very, let's talk about reading. Reading is one activity, one task. But where students find it so challenging to read the textbooks and they can spend hours reading the novels. So very different perspective, whereas the activity is same.
Very true. Anyone else wants to add some comment, remarks or comment? Please go ahead. Silvadani ji, Samira ji, Lakshmi ji.
Excuse me.
Yes, yes.
A very good evening.
Good
Is it
evening.
which way leadership you feel as a good one according to 21st century skill?
Bhuvana ji, okay.
Ma'am, very good question. Actually, I missed the previous ones that we have already had. This is the recent addition. If you go by the textbooks on leadership, you would not find this leadership theory in many textbooks. Most of the textbooks, they will talk about behavioral leadership, they will talk about situational leadership. The basic assumption is that you are not a leader, the situations make you a leader. So this particular theory works with the knowledge workers. The today's economy is not the economy where we do not know what is right or what is wrong. The kind of exposure we have, the kind of information we have, we actually understand what is right and what is wrong. We are intelligent. Everyone is cognitive enough. And that is why SDL theory is very apt in today's context. External leadership, external influence is not going to sustain. That is what we say. No, you can take a horse to the water, but you cannot make it drink.
Make it drink.
I will
Yes.
drink when I have the desire to drink.
When you want to.
I
when-
completely agree, but as you told that external factor not going to be there, but there are always two kinds.
Sorry, sir. Bhavanaji, you are muted. Please unmute yourself.
I agree completely, ma'am, your point of view. But as a external factor, you only told that there are two kind of people. One is internally they are motivated, and the one is externally motivated. But being leader, you cannot avoid such kind of people who are externally motivated, no? So you need to constantly to give the push to them to bring it to that level. So that sometime keep on changing. Once you are motivate them, they come to that level, and then leaving the organization, then another person you have to motivate. During this process, the leader itself get demotivated sometime. How to
You're
maintain
right.
that?
You're right, Bhavana ma'am. Self-leadership theory is not meant for person X. Type Y people is what we are talking about, SDL is meant for. SDL will never work for type X people. That is one thing.
Okay.
Number two, because one element of SDL theory is self-efficacy. One has to have a strong belief that I have high self-efficacy, that I can lead myself, I can control my urges, I can drive myself, I can connect myself to a larger purpose. Now, you are absolutely correct. As a leader, you end up meeting one type X person, you make efforts, you consume a lot of time, you invest a lot of energy in getting things done through that type X people. That person leaves, another type X person comes to you. But then if you yourself is an SDL leader, self-directed leader, then you see this exercise to a larger purpose. You're not seeing it as a one-time thing. That person A, I invested so much of time, now the person B, and this will keep on happening. Like I shared one scenario, now, if you see the examination, teaching, one typical task, you connect it to the larger purpose. That I'm building an institution, these things will keep on happening. This I cannot avoid, but that does not mean I disalign myself to the purpose. We are into process of building institution.
Okay. Got it.
Miss Rachna, may I ask?
Yes, Amelia ji, please go ahead. Yeah.
Miss Rachna, my thoughts were around the second question that you have posted. Do you lead your circumstances, or the circumstances lead you? One thought which I had is like, usually maybe I'm fairly young leader, so probably in a way, any day that I go into school, we might have certain things in our mind. Okay, these are the tasks to achieve and things like that. But school being dynamic, definitely those are not the things which get done by the end of the day. So does that have to do with the fact that maybe these circumstances that you have said, are they deciding what we react to or lead, or is it the other way? How do I figure that out?
Right. Samira ma'am, if we believe that circumstances are defining me, circumstances are leading me, then I will always get stuck into this loop of activities that are happening in the school. I need to sit down, I need to think about it, that what exactly am I involving myself, how my time is being utilized, what exactly I want. Before you actually take note of what is happening, you have to answer what I want. If you answer what I want, what is my purpose, what is my belief, then you would have to make efforts of managing those tasks which connects you to your objective. See, everyone has 24 hours. We always talk about time management. Basically, we are not managing time is same for everyone has 24 hours. What we are managing is we are managing ourselves, we are managing the tasks that we have. So that exactly is SDL talking about. This last question is posed from that perspective also. So if you are not SDL, you are not a self-directed leader, then you will always be controlled by circumstances. But if you are in SDL, then you would make efforts to mold your circumstances. The typical example we talked about, Anita, she was
Yeah.
stuck into a situation, that vicious loop was happening. So one day she made some change. She took some initiatives, and that is how she could break that entire vicious cycle.
All right. Thank you.
And we all are knowledgeable people. We know what is right, we know what is wrong. We also know how do we control our things.
Any other questions? Any other suggestions? Any other thing? Please let us know. Rachna ji, I feel we are done with the questions now.
That's great.
Yeah, Dr. Rachna, thank
It
you.
was a very nice, engaging session.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, anybody else wants to add something over here?
Just to add on my, the point that you raised, Ms. Rachna, about being an instructional leader. I mean, I think that is my key takeaway, because over the process, I've realized I've turned myself automatically into an administrative leadership. And at the end of the day, it's not very happy for me personally. So maybe I should align my goal for the academic year to be more of an instructional, principal or a vice principal. I should look at that.
That happens with all of us, Samira ma'am. It's not only you. We all get involved into that cycle. So where we do not get time exactly for the things which are genuinely meaningful, which are genuinely needed.
Yeah.
So I go to the class, my focus is on syllabus completion, my focus is on conducting quizzes, exams. Whereas the main question is, my students, what are they learning? Is this learning going to be utilized by them? How this will come handy to them when they go into the market? These are the real questions that we need to answer.
Right. Thank you so much.
Pleasure.
Thank you, Dr. Rachna, for an incredible session on SDL as a part of Skillveda Leadership Series 2026. Your insights on taking ownership, leading with clarity, and building inner drive truly resonate with every participant. You reminded us that great leadership starts from within, with self-awareness, discipline, and the courage to keep growing. Thank you very much for such an informative session, Rachna ji.
Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. It was a mutual learning. I also learned a few things from all the participants. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you everyone for joining us. We will be meeting again very soon for series again. Thank you.